a lot of people were looking forward to this fight more than the main event,
Some people say it's the
which
people's main event.
yeah, which is saying something, right? But we
Yeah.
had Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. Man, going into this one, you just knew this was gonna be a banger, bro.
I was worried because it's been so long since Ortega fought, and he's already kind of his defensive boxing is very rudimentary. Um, like he kind of relies on his chin to land his shots, and like that's a dangerous game to play against Yair Rodriguez. Um, but like Ortega's last win, dude. Like not only was he out for a while, but the last time he won was against the corpse of Korean Zombie, the zombie of Korean Zombie in 2020. That's the last time he won.
Oh, wow.
So it's like it's crazy that he's going straight back to Yair, especially when Yair subbed him the first time. It's kind of crazy that they rebooked this, but you know, I was like, this is not a good fight to come back for. And then he walks out, and I'm a big Ortega fan because I used to watch Ortega when I was like, you know, I must have been 14 watching him on the Gracie vlogs before he was even a fighter or anything, because I would watch Henry Gracie's vlogs on YouTube like daily.
That's
And
hilarious.
sometimes he would have to fill in and do it. And he was probably like 17 or something like that. So I've been a huge fan of Ortega for the longest time. There's been some questionable things throughout his career for sure, but I'll always be a fan. But so I'm like, damn, dude, this is not the fight to come back to. And then he
It's
walks
tough.
out, and then he's fucking jumping like Betch Kohea out there and fucking twists his ankle all gnarly. And you're like, this is already not going to go well early on because, you got ring rust. You got to shake it out. You got to get in there. Not a very good fight to be doing that in because Yair's a active sniper within the first 10 seconds.
Hmm.
And then he rolls his ankle and you're like, no, this is worst case scenario for my boy. And then it played out like that for a little bit because Yair is smoking him. I mean, everything but the kitchen sink Yair. And he's so sharp, dude. He's so much fun to watch. When he's going offensive, he is so fun to watch.
You could
Uh,
tell that he took advantage of that ring rust too in the very beginning because he
he's
did
like, I'm
look a
starting
little
quick.
sluggish in the beginning. You
Ortega?
could see that. Yeah, Ortega. You could see
Yeah.
that he still had the hand speed, but the timing is what was off a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
if you're Yaid, absolutely. Those first minutes, you are pressing, bro. You're pressing. And
Yeah.
also, if you are on the other side of the octagon and you see old boy over there jumping up and down and he rolls his ankle, I'm like,
Twists.
oh, I'm coming after that calf, bro. I'm coming after that
Dude.
leg right off
There
the
was
bat.
he went down 3 times in round 1, right? Ortega?
Was it 3 times?
I think it was 3 times because he got dropped once,
Jeez.
got back up and dropped immediately, and then ended up getting back up again and then dropped later on in the fight. I don't think that or later on in the round, I don't think they
HOB Comer
credit
asks, did he talk about the ankle in the post fight? Was it
he
injured
did.
before? He did talk about the ankle. He said that he didn't mention it being injured before. He just
No.
said he was jumping up and down or whatever, and he
Mhm.
rolled his ankle landing there.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, damn.
Yeah, and he was like, "Fuck," and he's like
Yeah.
he's like, "I already have all these demons about coming back. There's 20,000 people here going crazy. There's elevation. I've got all these things in my head, and then I
And
roll
he's
my
like, no,
ankle."
please, no, please.
Yeah. So Yair, so I think Ortega went down 3 times in round 1, but only credited Yair with 1 knockdown. And I think that's
Interesting.
because 2 of the times it was the leg giving out. There was a couple times where he went down that I was like, "Oh no." And I was worried that we were going to see like as he goes down and the leg swings that like the foot's like flopping or something, I was like, each time he went
Oh, that
down,
would
I
have
was
been
like,
rough. Yeah.
please be an actual knockdown and not his legs snapping. Um, but yeah, Yair is just running through him in that first round.
Look at
And
this picture, by
Ortega,
the way.
yeah, dude,
Ortega's
looking up to
just
God saying, why?
staring up at the heavens, bro.
Ortega's like, God, I thought you had me in this one.
No. No. Rough.
Yeah. Blunderbuff says suspicious amount of accidental leg injuries last night. Was the floor fucked up?
Mm.
I think maybe the gap between the mat and the fence was larger than usual because Moreno got stuck in it. The very first fight, someone tore their MCL on it. Like
There was also a fighter, Barcelos, maybe, when he was leaning down against the cage. I
mhm.
noticed he was able to slip his fingers in there and pull, So he didn't grab the cage,
Well,
but
he
he
did
like
that too.
legit pulled his finger or put his fingers in between. I was like, I've never seen that before. Like just in
Yeah.
between the mat and the cage. It was interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, back to this. Round one, you have 45-6 significant strikes in favor of Yair. Good takedown from Ortega in the first round. Some say that saved him from the 10-8. I disagree. I feel like that should have definitely been a 10-8. Shout out Mike Bell. Like Ganscow says, Oprah with the 10-8s, giving out the 10-8 to Yair and then the 10-8 to Ortega in round two. I'm here for it. Because
It's 10-8
that
Cobra.
round one, should not be scored the same as round one of Moreno versus Royval, right?
Yeah.
Like those shouldn't count the same towards winning a fight. Um, so yeah, I thought. I mean, he dropped him good at one point where he fell, he got back up against the fence, and he caught him again, and he drops like a sack of potatoes, and you're like, oh shit, it's gonna be a long night for T City. Um,
By the
but
way, hey, those shots to the body, Rich putting the picture up of
oh
Yair's knee
dude,
to the chest. So at this point, Ortega's nose was already bloodied up, right?
yeah,
And you
as
see
usual.
the blood on Yair's like thigh and the arm, and that's from
Yeah,
him hitting Ortega, and
and just
Ortega's yeah, Ortega just spraying him with blood after that
yeah,
because he's knocking all the
dude.
wind out of his body.
He fired off like 4 knees in a row to the body. I thought for
Brutal.
sure Ortega was going down because he's tough as nails and he's taking headshots and stuff. But like your body doesn't do that. Your body's like I don't care how tough you are. I'm done, and we're gonna seize. Uh, we're gonna seize, and you're going to go down. But Ortega, that Modelo fighting spirit, dude. He's brewed for
He
fucking
had a
greatness. You
choice,
know what I mean? He had a choice. And he said,
man.
I am not going to lose this fight in front of Tracy Cortez. I have to win this.
You can't go out like a chump, dude. Like
Not in front of your ex girl, dude.
you got your ex girl there, you got old girl there, you got new girl
Yeah.
there, and
I think new girl is old girl. I think
that's
that's
what I'm
his
saying.
baby mama.
I'm
And
pretty sure
now they're
because the
married.
kids look a lot like her.
Well, he said in the post fight that he's like, oh, my wife, I'm married, blah blah blah. I'm like, what? But I'm pretty sure it's his baby mama, which is cool. It's
Yeah.
the prodigal son returns, huh? He had his fun with Tracy Cortez. He comes back, and now he's a changed man. All that stuff, the Bible.
Good for him, dude.
Um,
Good for him.
but good for him also because the second round, much better takedown. Look, he's fighting Yair, right? Yair's not known for takedown defense, but his entries looked a lot better in this fight than they have
Mhm.
in the past. He's really struggled with takedowns, like every other jiu-jitsu player out there, like Mackenzie Dern. Like takedowns are very hard, but he's working in the trips, very jiu-jitsu style, right? But in the second round, he gets a takedown, and Yair's like, I have to jump guillotine, otherwise I'm going down with nothing. And
Yeah.
you're like, it's like, dude, you're not gonna. He already subbed Yair subbed Ortega once. He's not gonna get him with a choke though, especially not a guillotine. For a second, I thought Ortega went out from the guillotine
Oh, when his
because
arm went limp?
his right arm, I was like,
Yes.
no. And the ref wasn't really watching. Mark Goddard wasn't really on it, and I was like, dude, is he out right now? Just fucking still getting choked? Like this is not gonna be good. And then he posts up, and I was like, thank fucking God. What he was doing was blocking the hip from Yair so that he couldn't turn and get the right angle on the guillotine. But it looked bad
It did.
for a second, for just like 1 second. But it was the longest second of my life because I was like, are we gonna watch someone get killed in here? But then he gets out of the guillotine, and then Yair's hitting him with some sick ass hammer fists from the bottom, like
Oh,
Nico Price. He
yeah.
extends his legs with the knee shield, leans back, and then bam, fires off some nice hammer fists. And I was like, dude, Ortega's also getting fucked up from the bottom. Like, what is going on here? And then Ortega was like, oh yeah, I'm on top, and gravity's on my side, and starts dropping elbows, splits Yair.
Cut
Uh,
him up.
cut him up right across the bottom of the cheekbone or the top of the cheekbone, and they give him a 10-8. Mike Bell gives him a 10-8 for that round because it was really it was 4 minutes of top control from T City and did some good damage with it. That's a 10-8 in my opinion. HLB Comer says for some reason Yair has zero urgency to get back up. I'm having suspicions he is one stupid mofo. I wonder if he was like, I subbed him once, I'll sub him again.
He subbed him once. He subbed Josh Emmett. He could be a little tricky off his back too, but
Mhm.
dude, don't
It's not
don't
gonna
try
happen
to push
twice.
your luck, man.
Don't push your luck.
This is
But also, at the end of the first round, Ortega ended that round on top, right? He took him down. He ended up on top. I think Yair might have also been a little gassed from Mexico City because
Mm.
maybe he was just like, I can't, because the flashy went out the window after that point. Um, yeah. Maybe he gassed a little bit. Maybe he was comfortable thinking I could sub him again. He was throwing his legs up pretty actively. But yeah, no urgency to get up for sure. He was up against the fence. Not once did he try to like wall walk back up. Second or third round. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Blunderbub's so funny because he says ironically Goddard would later care very much about
About
the
the joke,
joke.
yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, shout out Toasty. He says Yair. But round 3, and you're like, this is a fight. We got ourselves a fight here. Ortega's
Yeah.
back. Ring rust might be gone here. Round 3, not one strike landed from Brian Ortega. Just kidding. There was one. It was not one significant strike in round 3, but he didn't need to because he clinched him up, got that single leg, got the dump. Really cool trip. Very similar to Marab's trip against Henry Cejudo that he landed a couple times. Got the single leg, steps around with the right leg, hooks the posting leg, takes him out, right? Immediately goes to mount, hits him with a nice little elbow. That is the one strike that landed. Gets Yair to go, oh shit, don't want
Yep.
that, and then sinks in the choke. Fucking beautiful, dude.
Yeah, that
Elbows to
sequence was
chokes.
amazing. If you go back and you take a look at the second round, and you take a look at the way that he was trying to find a way to land that elbow, because Yair kept on doing this to block
Yeah.
over and over. So he kept on trying to bring in the elbow from different angles, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a read. I really do think that he saw that the entire time in that
Couple
second
times he
round. And
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say a couple times he elbowed him straight to the throat, dude. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh
he was
god.
getting what he could get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
And
brutal.
I think he made that reading going into the third round. As soon as he saw that arm go up again, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
here we go,
Yeah.
easy
And
peasy."
he's like, T City can work for triangles and arm triangles. But it's kind of reminds me of Duplessis versus Robert Whitaker, where he got him into that half guard, and um, Whitaker would go for the underhook and he'd go for the choke. And then he'd dish the underhook to fight the choke, and then he'd start dropping elbows. And then once he'd go to block the elbows, like it was just elbow to choke, elbow to choke, elbow to choke. Every time he would go for the underhook, he would leave himself open, and vice versa.
Mm.
And this was like on a much smaller scale because Ortega is way better at submissions than Dricus, where he didn't really have to do that back and forth, back and forth. Sometimes it's like the fourth attempt is where you get the submission. Ortega just needs one entry, dude. He's so good at finding that. And he gets the arm triangle. Yair turns away from him, which is like rule number 1, never do that. More so in the gi, right? Because it gives you leverage for a choke, but you don't want your chest facing away from the guy. Ortega just hops around the side, knees to the back, and then crunches. And you're like, dude, there's no way he's
No way
getting
he's
out
not.
of this. It was brutal.
Dude, it was so tight. Not even Mark Goddard get him off of there, dude. Oh my
Well,
god.
well, someone asked him about that because he holds the choke, he taps, Yair taps. Goddard is trying to stop him and pull him off, and he's just holding it. And eventually he gets off, and he's like, whoa, I'm so sorry. And they asked him in the post-fight press conference, like, what was that about? And he was like, dude, they're like, was it just because, sometimes you get in a submission, like belly down arm bars, we talked about it before, where they tapped, but it's hard to let go of it because your whole weight is on the submission, on the lock, whatever it might be, that it's hard to like get out of this position. And I thought maybe that was the case. Maybe his arms were stuck or something. But what he said was, he's like, yeah, I got kind of sick. My ears, my cauliflower ears, like were swollen, and I've been having trouble hearing, and probably because of the elevation too. He's like, I've been having to like pop my ears over and over and over again. And when he sunk the choke, his own shoulder was on his ears too. And he's like, I just couldn't hear anything, and I just zoned out. So I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, oh my god. Plus, he's also probably concussed from that first round.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So it's just like,
Well,
I
the
think from
other
the
thing I
outside,
thought
I saw
about
people.
too
Yeah.
is Yair, like when he taps and
Hmm.
then kind of like stop tapping, and then Goddard first came in with his like left hand like to tap on him
Yeah.
to be like, yo, let go. Like, do you think he was like, oh, he's still tapping and Goddard has gone me off of him yet, or
could be. He didn't say that though.
because
He
you go
just
until
said,
they actually stop you, right?
yeah, for sure. Because I mean, we're gonna talk about a fighter who has done that in the past, where they do the fake tap and then you let go of the submission. And they're like, "No, I didn't tap." But yeah, he said it was just
Brian
his ears.
Palmeiras Ortega. Dude, that
Palmeiras.
guy was a savage, dude.
Oh my god, dude! Get out
Palmeiras
of there,
ripped
Alan.
his head out.
One of my favorite fights ever, him versus Alan Belcher. And Joe Rogan fully ditches commentary mode and is 100% rooting for Alan Belcher halfway through the fight.
So
You can't
funny.
stay here. Get out of here, Alan. Oh, what a classic.
Genevieve saying, I feel like the grappling the entire night was a little wacky. I mean, between what I saw just in the Moreno fight too with Royval and, you know, how
Yeah.
crazy you can get. But yeah, there was a few things that were a little wacky for sure.
Barcelos had some crazy grappling. Aguilar versus Mateus was also pretty wild.
Yep.
Chairez versus Lacerda was baffling as every other time they tried to fight. But yeah, there was some weird grappling. But we can move on.
Yeah. All right,
What's
man.
next
Let's
for
go and move on.
T-City? He's back in the top. Everyone was like, he can't sit on the ranking this long. And I was one of those people. But then he comes back and beats Yair, finishes them. And then you're like, oh. And then there's a new champ. And then, I don't know. Maybe
Throw
they
him
do
in
him
there.
versus Evloev, maybe.
Give me Topuria versus Ortega. Screw it.
By
Like
the
a
way,
Band-Aid, dude. Just
What
rip it
about
off.
Evloev?
Nah, dude. Just rip it off like a Band-Aid. Just put him back in there. It's now or never, dude.
I think
He's 33 years old.
Him, dude.
He's 33 years old. You
He's
know
got
what
2
happens
years.
in 2 years?
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Ramiro and Will here. Thank you so much for watching that short clip. It's just a small clip of what we covered this last Sunday.
Yeah, if you want to check out the full fight card recap, the link is in the description, and it's going to be on screen at the end here. Don't forget to go back and watch our fighter interviews that we have. And don't forget to tune in live every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and you can join in on the fun.
Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. All right, everybody, thanks for watching that short clip from Story of the Fight.